Anand has come?
Yeah, I'm there.
I'm not. Yep.
Hi Anand.
Welcome,
welcome, sir. Yeah.
तुम इतना स्क्रीन को घूरो मत, तुम्हारा चश्मा मोटा हो गया.
There we are online. We are event started.
हो गया.
So, Rakesh, you can start.
Okay. Thank you, CN Vignesh. Good evening and warm welcome to our respected past chairperson, members, and our esteemed sponsor. And today's session chief guest CA Praful Chadda, past president ICAI, keynote speaker CA Dayanivas Sarma, Central Council member, and session presenter CA Anand Prakash Jangir. We request all our members to follow the DCICAI website, Facebook page, Twitter for all the latest updates. Also, all our events are live in YouTube. As we are aware, the fintech revolution is rapidly transforming the financial industry, and it has emerged and evolved as a cornerstone of financial innovation. And the use of digital technology has become the norm to improve. Therefore, our today's topic, fintech and transformation, finance and audit, is expected to provide an insight into how CAs can leverage the fintech and the recent transformation in finance and audit, while also bracing up to overcome the challenges. And our today's speaker is having a decade of experience on the subject matter and is also known for his engaging with the audience. While we are looking for an interactive learning session, we request for certain do's and don'ts to be followed. CA Vignesh, I request you to put up on the screen. Here are do's and don'ts for the meeting. All participants are requested to mute their audio. Questions to be to the speaker to be typed in chat box only. Question will be answered at the end of the session. Further question, if any, will be taken offline. All participants are requested to turn off their video if possible. Doha chapter members are entitled to 3 hours structured CPE. Members need to fill Google form as well as joining the webinar meeting with the name as registered as per the ICAI record. Non-chapter members are entitled to 2 hours unstructured CPE. Members need to apply unstructured CPE hours on their own. Now, I would like to invite our chapter chairperson, ever smiling, who always take a dynamic approach to every situation, embrace his team with the mantra, engage, empower, enable. CA Nirlab Bhatt, over to you, sir.
Thank you, CA Rakesh, for this nice introduction. Respected past president of ICI and chief guest of council member CA Dayanivas Sarmaji, session presenter CA Anand Prakash Jangir sir, and my dear Doha chapter members. A warm good evening. On behalf of EXCOM, it's our pleasure to welcome you for another CP event, knowledge sharing session. We are fortunate to have today the ICI leadership with us, who has been of great support to our chapter and the various events conducted by the chapter. Sirs, established in 1981, Doha chapter is the oldest overseas chapter among 39 chapters in upskilling themselves by conducting various programs of professional interest. The programs are quite varied in nature, like CP event, workshop, certificate courses, international conference, and special purpose thematic events. By conducting the events on communication and leadership skills, EXCOM helps members hone their soft skills. Brand image of the profession is very important, and chapter is active on all the social media platforms, and our event regularly features on digital and print media as well. The chapter also conducts CA examination for all the levels successfully since 2016. That despite the challenges and restrictions posed by COVID-19, during this time we have added more than 20 new members to the chapter. Members are the backbone of the chapters, and we can't thank enough our members for participating and guiding the EXCOM in all our endeavors. As per our mission to give back to society, the chapter also conducts regular CSR events to serve the community and help the needy by collaborating with the community organization under the aegis of Indian Embassy. Sirs, VOCA is going to be a milestone event under the leadership of the chairman of the executive committee. Past President, sir, we had dedicated VOCA booth in our last international conference in November 2019. We also have rolled out expression of interest in VOCA form, which was submitted by your office, sir. World Congress of Accountant logo is prominently displayed and featured in all our official communication. And furthermore, we are also planning to, which will not only guide the members and solve their queries, but will also be acting as the focal point between your good office, sir, and the members. So thank you, Prafulla, sir, Dayanivas ji, and Anand Prakash, sir, once again for helping us conduct this great event and agreeing to join us. Now, let me take, friends, the pleasure in introducing the leading light of the profession and chief guest of the event, CA Prafulla Chhajed. Respected Prafulla, sir, is the past president of ICAI and is currently serving as the chairman of Executive Committee of the World Congress of Accountants, which has been constituted by International Federation of Accountants, New York. He is also the director in ICAI Accounting Research Foundation and XBRL India. CF Chhajed, sir, is the board member in Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants. CA Prafulla Chhajed, sir, frequently appears as the guest speaker on various prominent media and quite popular on that. He represented ICAI on the World Trade Open Forum in Geneva and also in International Accounting Education Standard Board, IAESB. Help me welcome the visionary past president and a leader par excellence, CA Prafulla Chhajed, sir. Praful, sir, screen is all yours. A warm welcome again, please.
Thank you so much, respected chairman, again, dear friend, Nirlep Bhai and his entire team. Respected members, just before we came on live, we had 10 minutes of, interactive session. And let me assure each and every member, of course, you know them more closely than what I know, but the entire managing committee members are full of energy, committed for the cause of the profession. And it is really indeed my pleasure, pride to join all of you this evening. And thank you once again, Chairman, sir, for inviting me. Also, I am more delighted because, the two reasons, rather three reasons. First, we are going to speak about for a few minutes about the World Congress, which is going to happen for the first time. Secondly, the topic is very, very important, and I think this is the future of the profession. And third is and very most important, the faculties who are going to speak. My dear friend Dayanivas Sharma, who himself is a Central Council member, he is the vice chairman of the entire digital, initiation, and person could be a vice chairman, but it is that particular chairman and vice chairman's team which actually rolls out this particular, digital technology for the entire ICAI. And apart from he being the member of the, the Digital Assurance and Standard Board, apart from that, friends, as you are aware, even at the ICAI level also last 2 years, we have been very committed as far as, the use of technology for the ICAI, within the ICAI, and for which we started self-service portal and the digital learning hub. And there is one person of that particular team, which were, actually engaged 24/7 for ensuring the success. And therefore, I am really happy. Another speaker, again, very learned person, Anand Jangid, who has also been helping to the ICAI and membership at large in acquiring the new things. So, for me, it's a double bonanza. For me, today is a triple bonanza, and entire credit goes to the managing committee and the chairman. Having said this, compliments, and I'm quite sure everybody must be safe at Doha, because we are having this particular meeting on the virtual mode. So I'm not able to meet and greet personally everybody. Please accept my greetings. and thank you for joining this particular event. And we are at the ICI Central Council level. We are really proud of the the contributions of the overseas members, not only the managing committee members of the chapter, but each and every member of the ICI who is actually a brand ambassador of the profession, doing great services into respective jurisdictions. And friends, it is together, all of you, that makes the ICI really great profession across the globe. Now, coming back to the World Congress of Accountants, friends, like in India, we have the ICI. At global level, we have the IFAC. IFAC is the International Federation of Accountants, which is responsible and apex body of the entire accounting and auditing profession across the globe. We have the various standards coming from the IFAC and all those things. Every 4 year, IFAC arranges this World Congress of Accountants. It is for the first time in the history of the ICI and for the country that we are going to host this World Congress somewhere in November 2022, 18 to 21st November 2022 at Mumbai. And venue is also going to be very exciting. Mr. Mukesh Ambani's company Reliance is constructing a very brand new Geo Convention Center. So entire things will be there, and it is becoming operational soon. So it is again for them also, it is going to be the first mega event. So venue is really good. And in India, as you all are member, ICI is also putting its best. Friend, just to talk about this World Congress more, as I told you, this event happens only once in 4 years. Last time it was in Sydney, and we are expecting about 8 to 10,000 attendees all across the globe. Last time in Sydney, they had about 197 speakers, not only talking about the technical things, but also non-technical things. As Chairman rightly mentioned, you are also putting a lot of efforts in terms of the CSR. So even as an accounting profession, how we can contribute to the nation and the international globe, those kind of topics also we are going to discuss when we are going to have this particular World Congress. So in India, preparations are already on in terms of identifying the speakers, in terms of reaching out to the various international chapters. And let me tell you, friends, it will be your active contribution, not only in identifying the good speakers, but also in terms of reaching out to your respective governments to showcase this particular event. Because as I was mentioning, this is for the first time in India, and ICI is going to host. So it is a great opportunity. As it is, you all are putting a lot of efforts in terms of to the reaching out to the government in terms of your excellence. So once more opportunity, we will be also through you actively trying to engage with various authorities or maybe the governments in terms of identifying speakers or collaborations on the event, how we can also promote the local governments with the help of the various international chapters. So it is going to be a lot of interactive session kind of thing, where not only the members will be attending, but also various governments also will be we'll be trying to invite also. It is going to be a great networking opportunity, needless to say. So a lot of excitement is going to happen, and that in addition to that, one more opportunity to visit your home country. So again, India is everybody must be missing India time and again. Of course, Doha is not that far that you are really cut. So but again, you will get opportunity, and we will be definitely welcoming all of you. So I look forward for to the chairman and his entire team and each member who is attending here, or even if they are not attending, for their continuous support, guidance in terms of reaching out to the governments, reaching out to the various faculties, reaching out to the delegates, reaching out to the sponsors, and entire structuring the program so that everybody, each and every person who is going to attend should feel that yes, they have attended an event which was once in a lifetime kind of event. So definitely that thing will happen. And once again, the topic, fintech and transformation in finance and audit. Friends, this corona pandemic has taught us, all of us, work from home, and auditing profession is no exception. In fact, all our chartered accountants all across the globe sitting at home, they could finish the audits of the mega companies also, and everything was smooth. So it is, in our blood to adopt the new things, but definitely fintech, blockchain, and technology is the future. Even at the IFAC level, and whenever various global forum, when we discuss, everybody's talk about the technology impacting the profession. Of course, distinguished speakers are there. I'm not going to touch, but this is what, as a president, I attended various global meets and all those things. So entire world is talking about, the new technologies which are coming. And it is not only that the auditing profession, it is, right from the accounting, from accounting to auditing, and this entire ecosystem is going to be a technology based, the things will be there. So a lot of exciting journey, as well as, we have to be also taking a few steps ahead, so as to be keeping pace with the changing time. But I'm quite sure, as I said, the faculties are really, really distinguished people who are having hands-on, experience. So I look forward for this wonderful evening. Once again, Chairman Sir, to you and your entire team and all the members, I wish, a great success, happiness. Please stay safe, because, pandemic is still there. And definitely please have those kind of precautions. And thank you once again for inviting me here, allowing me to talk to all my dear members who are, settled overseas. And for me, a great opportunity, Chairman Sir. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And we will also play that video which you have introduced during your tenure of the president. So can I request CA Vignesh to play the video?
Success, happiness. Please stay safe, because, pandemic is still there. And definitely please have those kind of precautions. And thank you once again for inviting me here, allowing me to talk to all my dear members who are, settled overseas. And for me, a great opportunity, Chairman Sir. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And we will also play that video which you have introduced during your tenure of the president. So can I request CA Vignesh to play the video?
Success, happiness. Please stay.
Nirlep, is it audible?
Yeah, it was audible. Yeah.
For inviting me here, allowing me to talk to all my dear members who are, settled overseas. And for me, a great opportunity, Chairman Sir. Thank you.
Double voice is coming.
And we will also play that video which you have introduced during your tenure of the president. So can I request CA Vignesh to play the video?
And treat them as God. We at ICI would ensure you a memorable experience of our country. I welcome you all to India.
India is a journey of mind and soul. Indian hospitality has been recognized and praised across the globe. We in India are truly excited to host you at the World Congress of Accountants 2022 in Mumbai, and also offer you some world-class touristic opportunity spread across India's diverse landscape and vibrant cultures. India has been famous for its richness in culture for time immemorial. Our country has been shaped by its long history and diversified geography, so much so that as many as 37 of its key attractions have made it to the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in India, and has the 6th largest number of sites in the world. Come, explore and experience the enchanting India.
all geared up, excited, and look forward to seeing you all in Mumbai. Namaste.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. So, thank you, past President CA Prafulla Chajed, and it does give me now immense pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the day and the chief guest, CA Dayanivas Sharma. Firstly, there are a lot of connects that I have with CA Dayanivas. The first of all, of course, I need to say that I hail from the same city as him, so it gives me more pleasure to introduce someone from my own city. He's definitely associated with a lot of things within the institute, which has been of great help for us. CA Dayanivas Sharma qualified as a chartered accountant in 2005. He plays multiple roles within the institute. He's a chairman of the peer review board. He's a chairman of the Member and Student Services Directorate, vice chairman of the Digital Accounting and Services Assurance Board. This board has been very active, as our past president mentioned, in terms of digitizing and bringing in technology within the institute's functions. Vice chairman of the Financial Reporting Review Board, board member Quality Review Board, board member XBRL India, chairman Center of Excellence Hyderabad, and a member of multiple central committees. Beyond this, Dayanivas ji has also been has been a coffee table book and was recognized as Young India Visionary in the whole of the UAE. At ICAI national and international forums, he's conducted sessions on 23 plus topics. It gives us immense pleasure today to have with us an eminent speaker, a person who is a master, is an expert on this subject that we have this evening, to speak to us and give us some insight and thoughts on how technology is transforming our profession and technology is transforming finance and audit. CA Dayanivas, sir, over to you. Looking forward to hearing you today, this evening.
Thank you, Vignesh, and I'm equally excited to know that you are from Hyderabad. First and the foremost thing, my president, Praful Chajed sir, namaskar. Thank you very much for giving all that profile which he read. It's only because of your liking and might be the following president's liking, they gave me an opportunity to be part of such important boards. And I'm really delighted the members at large are liking the role which is given to me, and I'm trying to do my best to deliver at all times. And yes, the chairman of the World Congress, which is going to happen in 22, really the proud moment. It was actually because of you and other council colleagues, it happened that, we have got the Olympics of the accounting profession is going to be held in India. So thank you very much, sir. I think it's a big beginning to start with the chapters, international chapters, and take these things forward. Really a privilege, and really been happy that we'll be part of this entire growth story and a new India definition, which people were thinking that India is of bullock carts, and we are going to teach them something more, which I'm going to relate to my discussion. With the start of my discussion, which came to my mind after listening to you and the video, is something which is there. Chairman Nirlip, you have always been a smiling man, always passionate. You have been always giving me comments about my postings, which I have been doing on a regular basis. And thank you very much for giving you all your inputs so that we actually grow together. It is not only individual growth. When you share knowledge, we grow together. And more importantly, the entire committee, which is actually, made us happy by inviting. And really, it is an honor to be part of Doha chapter and being part with you on this very interesting topic, which is fintech and transformation in finance and audit. There is no other person better than Anand. I can always tell you one thing is Anand, I got trained under Anand. And today, if I'm a vice chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, he plays an important role because my forensic as well as DISA, I was his student. So when a guru is going to speak and who's taught certain things, and a guru is going to, who's already spoken, who's teaching us on a day in, day out basis, it's a very good opportunity to get sandwiched in between and being part of the entire thing. So I would like to start with one thing, friends. When we saw the video of World Congress, what comes to our mind is tradition. We carry certain value systems. And this fintech is actually a transformation from tradition to technology. It is T to T. Please understand, it is T to T. It is tradition to technology. Nothing has changed. Money have been transferring. Just imagine, from a barter system, we have come to currency. From currency, we have moved to plastic money. From plastic money, we have moved to digital money. This is where the transformation is happening. And no one thought that a stage is going to come where India is going to actually lead in this particular area of fintech. Fintech is something very interesting. Very, when you listen to it, it sounds so interesting. What is fintech is something which we need to really understand. Financial technology, when application of newer technology advancements are actually adopted, it is nothing but fintech. Whether you talk about banking, whether you talk about insurance, whether you talk about regulatory aspects, please understand, all these things are actually comprising in a particular world called technology. And technology is actually transforming in different ways. If you start talking about artificial intelligence, fintech has adopted. You talk about machine learning, fintech has adopted. You talk about blockchain technology, fintech has adopted. When you talk about robotic process automation, fintech is accepted, taken up. The point is very simple. From the traditional way of doing things, from the plastic money to move to this digital transformation, it has gone through a different phase. And fortunately, the blessing in disguise is that this pandemic actually has accelerated this entire process to make it big. Let us take an example of fintech where we can talk about, we have heard about the banking transaction, but please understand, there is a payment bank which is coming in, which is a new concept. No one thought about it. Google Pay has just come in. They don't receive money. They only pay. Amazon is again a payment bank, which is there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, this transformation which is happening from the financial world is actually creating an opportunity, as well as there is a challenge for certain things. Challenges are those things which are primarily being done by the blue collar people who are actually going or might be sitting in the front. From the front ending, we are moving towards the back ending. That means technology is going to drive the entire thing. You are not going to see any human face. Bots are going to respond to all your queries. Just imagine, people are going to replace, but the replacement is going to happen from that front-ending job to technology-driven process. And please understand, wherever there is a finance and accounts, there is a chartered accountant. Chartered accountant means a computer advisor. Computer advisor means very simple thing. The processes risk can only be given by a chartered accountant, because every process is a control feature and every risk need to be mitigated. And the best person to understand this entire process of the entire mapping, the entire trail, can be understood by chartered accountant very effectively. In this fintech world, the biggest advantage is going to be for all those chartered accountants who are going to transform to technology, who are the younger ones. But please understand, the old generation is not going to get redundant. They are the people who has the best knowledge to give that advice, give that process definitions to these young chartered accountants who are going to design the entire process in the technology. So if you talk about a challenge or a opportunity, both exist. It is only the frame of mind which we need to take it forward and make it big. Friends, the opportunity doesn't stop there. Cyber security, cyber issues, which are going to be one of the biggest challenge, is again to be understood by us as a chartered accountant, apart from the technology person. Technology person is going to be dependent on us, and we are going to be dependent on technology. So I'll just replace the word dependency into interdependency. Now people are going to come together and make it happen in a very large manner. And trust me, one of the most important thing which everyone should know is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has started the technology training process. We have completed, I think, tens of batches on blockchain. Let us come to this blockchain concept. Entire regulatory framework, entire KYC process is going to be driven by blockchain. The moment you put your data into the system, when you call it as a DigiLocker or any kind of process, and when a bank want to process a loan, whether it is an individual loan or a corporate loan, they will not come back to you to give the copies of the data. Blockchain is going to provide all this information at one go. Artificial intelligence is going to be actually working on one particular aspect. Who is the needy and how is the use of that money will be done by artificial intelligence. People, when you go in the site, you will find out, you have touched upon which is the best TV, which is the best camera, which is the best phone. The next day you get the same kind of ads in your mail also. So what is going to happen is artificial intelligence is going to take you there. Machine learning is going to teach the process, the way the customer and the bank is behaving. This is something which is going to be very unique and very different, which is already started. Now, robotic process automation, nothing is going to actually be, human intervention is almost going to be zero, and technology is only going to take over the entire thing. If I start talking continuously, I can take this entire session for the 2 hours, but there is a speaker with us who is knowledgeable than me and who's going to talk on this particular aspect. So I'll leave it to him. But the most important part is on the transformation in finance and audit. If this entire set of doing transaction is undergoing to go change, obviously the way the audits are going to be done is undergoing to go change. What accounting standards are being taught today will not be relevant tomorrow. What auditing standards are being taught today will not be relevant tomorrow. The mechanism of our audits will not be the same. The adoption of technology is ultimately going to change every aspect. I request the chairman and all the committee members, why not you all people actually come out with a thought leadership program, or might be a document, which is a research paper, which is actually going to transform. What do you think? You are sitting in a position of a company as a CFO or a general manager, and you know the transformation which is coming in. If we are able to come out as a research paper, which can be published by the institute, how Qatar is actually transforming, this will become an asset to our institute. Trust me, there are very few institutes in the world. The way we have 46 international chapters, I don't think any institute has 46 international chapters. Our past president, sir, is here. He'll agree to that. The strength of every chartered accountant has been on the top. You all have actually held the flag of not only the country, but the Institute of Chartered Accountants as well. Please understand, these are new learnings. And if we are going to transform and going to share our knowledge with people, it is going to make a whole lot of difference. Let's come work together. Let's contribute together. Let's grow together. I think that is the agenda which we need to have. When, thanks to Praful sir, again, the way he actually connected the globe is something unimaginable. And it is time where if this connection is happening, why not we share the entire knowledge in every form. Friends, there are a lot of things which I would like to talk. Chairman, I have very limited time, but I would like to come back again and talk on many aspects which Institute has initiated. And the biggest transformation today, let me share with you, which we should be happy because of Praful sir's initiation last year, we have moved 5 crore data files within the shortest period of time of 18 months. The biggest transformation ever happened in the accounting profession as well as the, any other professional world. So sir, with your kind of vision which you have given us, the kind of thought process we are running with, and the kind of initiative which our international chapters are going to take, we are only going to go to a newer heights and we'll make it big. Friends, it is a very interesting topic, Fintech, which includes the banking, insurance, and regulatory aspect, and more importantly, the impact on the auditing and accounting profession. Accounting and auditing profession is going to be huge, huge. And please take it from me, if there is one person who is not transforming, if he is not reskilling himself or herself, time has come where we need to think about what I need to do next. And when institute is taking so many initiatives, we have multiple courses which are coming up. We did blockchain forensic audits. We are more than happy to tell you one thing: world's first institute to come with comprehensive forensic standards. Unimaginable. 16 standards are released, another 7 are going to come. You see the kind of UDIN activity across the globe is unimaginable. Lot of such initiatives have been taken. This all are impacting the profession in a different style. Anand, I request you to kindly do one thing, that most of the people are coming from the industry side, and you need to brief them what is that they are going to see the change, and what is the change they should get as their next, might be a service provider or their junior or any kind of technology person who is to come, and what is it going to impact to this financial world. There is no better person than you. I leave it to you for the entire discussion by restricting my discussion to this level. But yes, remember one thing: chartered accountants were relevant yesterday, years before, today, and years later. We are going to be relevant, because without finance, without chartered accountants, there is no finance. Without finance, there is no chartered accountant. The world cannot run. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Kishore, over to you.
Good evening, fellow members and friends. Thank you, Vignesh. As Prabal said earlier, today we have triple bonanza because we have 3 eminent speakers from ICAI. I am delighted to introduce CA Anandji. He is from the city of Garden of India, where I started my career, that is Bangalore. Anand is a chartered accountant, certified information system auditor, certified information system manager, having more than 10 years professional experience in IT, risk management, access control, SAP control review, and IS audit. He worked at Infosys as a head for enterprises risk management services, at Goldman Sachs as IS auditor covering IT general controls and applications. Anand's experience encompasses across consulting, IS audits, financial audits, and assisting companies to achieve compliance to various regulations. His experiences comes from working for the clients across industries covering manufacturing, services, banking, and IT sector. He handled various assignments such as statutory audit for major banks, State Bank of India, Corporation Bank, Canara Bank, and was lead for NPA review for the lead banks, concurrent audit for the Bank of Baroda, as an AML officer for APAC region for Goldman Sachs, was a part of AML investigation team, developed operational risk framework for security business unit of Goldman Sachs, a program manager for TDS CPC, Central Processing Cell Program. He authored many articles on AML, fraud investigation and risk management in banks. Is a guest faculty at ICI and IIM Bangalore. Due to the technological advancement, Fintech has drawn a lot of interest globally and proving to be an exciting phenomenon and rewarding the work avenue for the finance professionals. To delve upon some of these issues, we are privileged to have a well-known speaker. I am sure that absolutely this topic will help all fellow members to provide an insight into how CA can leverage fintech and recent transformation in finance and audit. Please join me in welcoming CA Anand Ji. Over to CA Anand.
Thanks, Mr. Kishore. Thank you very much, and thank you, Nila, for this opportunity. And I'm actually privileged that Taran is there, a good friend, and no Guru. You may put it on a higher pedestal, then you are going to. There's a kind of a Hindi saying, "Wo jhad ke ऊपर नहीं खड़ा." But anyway, he's a great friend, and I am thinking he's a visionary. I have seen for a long time. I know him for the last 9-10 years, and I know how he has merged into this area domain of that. So, friends, I would like to say that Nirlap and we were discussing what are the things which we can add value to. So I thought instead of being someone who will give a kind of a modus operandi or anything, I would like to focus today as discussing some of the themes with you. And I would really want, that all of you are doing an amazing job. Okay. So you should be also working in finance, in audit, and in different areas, and you're seeing the transformation happening yourself. So I would like to have it a very interactive session. Feel free to do it up. What I'm going to bring to the table, I have around 1 hour, 50 minutes that I would like to take it up in 1 hour of, deliberation from my side, trying to bring it out. What are the points which are there, which need to be, looked into from our side, as well as to see some of the futuristic things which are happening, which we are seeing already happening. I remember, one very interesting thing happened to me just 2 weeks back. One of my friend who is actually a CFO in MENA region, he called me up and said, Anand, do you know any IoT startup in Bangalore which is willing to be acquired? And this company which I'm talking about, they are into the domain of construction business and project management. I said, why? Like, he's a finance guy and he's talking about an IoT startup he wants to acquire. So I was a little curious why he's doing it. He said, you know what? Whatever the business we were doing is going to go for a drastic change. And if we don't prepare ourselves for this next 5 years, we would become irrelevant in the market. And this is coming from someone who is in the finance domain, who is actually not a guy who's giving the strategy like CEO, but the CFO of the company who are talking about that. Now, friends, that itself speaks the volume of what we talk about. As a speaker before me, there and the professor has talked about, finance and tech has already been for a very, very long time going together. And when we talked about fintech, the word fintech which was there, the whole concept was basically coming from finance and technology. There was a kind of a macro level talk saying there's some disturbance there. May I request everyone to put themselves on mute? That would be great. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So the point which happened was, we realized one very interesting thing, that finance and technology, when there is a kind of a cross between them, we get fintech. But unfortunately, a lot of people thought this to be related to only financial payment system or the banking system. But if you see the kind of a definition of fintech, which comes from Harvard Business Review, HBR, in their article, they basically put it up together as a kind of cross between wherever in the finance sector technology is used and it's transforming or disrupting the thing, is where we call it fintech at a very macro level. I'm just trying to bring it up at a very macro level. So the topic of today's, which we are going to deliberate, is first on fintech, and then a very interesting point, which is a subset of fintech, which is finance and audit transformation. Now, both of them are basically a subset of what we call it as the fintech is all about. So at macro level, we have fintech, and at the micro level, we have one of the part of that is on the finance and audit transformation. And let's try to discuss the themes of multiple themes which are there under that, which are actually right now coming up or already has shown a lot of change out there. And those impact, I'm sure a lot of you have already started feeling it, or you will see it in a near future, that this is going to come and hit us. And it's always good to be prepared, because we all have heard about this saying, right? The survival of the fittest is more from a person who can adapt to the environment. And we have adapted a lot. The chartered accountant has come a long way. I remember one of the very interesting things which used to happen, and I'm sure a lot of us are here who have been, the old scheme of thing, where we used to have programming in BASIC and COBOL used to be actually kind of an examination question, where to write, a COBOL program in examination. There used to be a subject called MICS and all the things which used to be there. So we have come a long way from there, and we have adapted to a lot of things. So in today's deliberation, we'll talk about all of these things, and I would request you to feel free, just put your comments on that, on any of the point which we are there, because I would really like to take your views, because many of the points which I'm going to bring it up is going to be from the perspective of what I call it the overall, at a very, 30,000 feet. But there are things which may be something which can add much more value in terms of your experience also. And that is something which I would like to discuss. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. So this is what we are going to talk about: fintech and transformation in finance and audit. And Nirlab was very particular to tell me that opportunity should come first and then challenges. So I didn't put it up challenges and opportunity. I put it up opportunities and challenges. Yes, it's a great opportunity. And when I was actually thinking of the theme, the thing which came to my mind was an escalator. You know, we have all climbed stairs, and someone, you can see my shape, who is very fat, and actually that is one of the word I use, the word finance and audit transformation, fat. Climbing stairs is like an exercise for me. But when we get an escalator, if something takes us very fast onto the next level, and that's something which is basically from a perspective of a kind work which we can actually think of. Now there are a lot of things which are happening in this domain. Before I start into deliberation on the slides, I want to talk about one very interesting thing. I come from the banking background. I used to work for Goldman Sachs, and this is, I'm talking about in the years of 2006-7. If you actually pick up the financial statement of Goldman Sachs in the year of 2005-6-7, you'll find a very interesting thing. In that year, what used to happen was, I remember very vividly right now, we used to have an IT budget in the year 2005 of close to $5 billion USD. That used to be the IT budget of Goldman Sachs, and we used to have a kind of a turnover of close to, our top line was something around $72 billion worldwide. Now, this was much more than the annual revenue of companies like Infosys and Wipro combined at that point of time. Now, in the director's report, Goldman Sachs always used to put one very interesting statement. The statement used to be that technology gives us a kind of what we call it as edge over the business competitions, as well as to be able to understand what the future is going to be. And that's why we are investing so much of money in that. You can pick up the financial statement of Goldman Sachs today. They are into the same range. I think, last 4 to 5 quarters, they are actually in the same range of revenue and profit they are showing regularly. And you will see one very interesting thing. The investment is still at the level of close to 4 billion, 3 to 4 billion, which is there in the financial statement in IT and IT related services. Now, what has happened is, this is a very interesting thing at a very macro level I wanted to discuss with all of you. Fintech, the word came out because before the 2008 crisis, you are all aware of the 2008 crisis which happened, and I'm sure all of you watched this nice movie called The Big Short, or maybe you have read the book The Big Short. If you have not, I would highly recommend you to do that. That was the thing when it was a flip for the East Coast. If you know US has a very interesting thing. We have the East Coast, which is the financial capital, which is New York and other part, and the West Coast, which is the technology capital. California, most of the companies are headquartered there. Now, what used to happen was, all the kind of transformation, all the kind of investment used to happen from East Coast. They were the leaders, I would say, who used to dictate what is going to be happening next. But post the crisis of 2008, I know, many companies, if you've heard Morgan Stanley and other things, what happened to them, they went for a toss, and there were other things which survived. Goldman Sachs survived. A lot of other companies survived. But it changed the perspective. There were no more those organizations which were aggressive in adopting technology and all things, and they took a backseat. So there was a void which was created. When I say a void was created, there was no one else who's going to fill up that void of who's going to, basically be the leader in transformation in technology thought process and thought leadership out there. And that is what brought the West Coast, which is the technology companies. And the technology companies, initially for them, it was like, we are making softwares which is running the world. can we basically transform the financial sector also? And all this disruption, I'm using the word disruption again and again because disruption is not bad. Actually, disruption is trying to change the things, how it is happening, and seeing a big picture or a new picture. And the point is that this void which was there in leadership in the financial technology sector was filled by the West Coast. And today you see that the calls, starting from any of the PayPal or any of the thing from the payment industries or all the things, the banking, we are already seeing the disruption happening from technology companies. They are bringing to the table saying, hey, you know what? You don't require to do that. Coming from, I'm sure, a background of when I used to do my articleship, there was a time you have to stand in the queues at the bank, filling up, the tax and all the thing. And I have not visited a bank in last 5 years, especially my bank. I have visited a bank because we do a lot of services for banking and other things in terms of audit and data analytics. But I'm telling you, not visited the branch where I have an account for, because I'm actually taking that. It's my mobile phone and it takes care of most of my needs of banking. So we have come a long way from there, and there's no way we are going to go back, right? So please understand, whether we like it or not, this is going to come and disrupt us. Now, there are going to be amazing opportunities, and that is something which I want to discuss with you. But there are also going to be challenges. When I say challenges, no one likes change. Do you agree or not? You should ask all the, I remember when I was writing my CA examination, this accounting standard used to be coming that time. They have just set up the accounting standard and all the things. So we used to say that just pass the examination quickly, because if you at one more attempt you will write, another 3 accounting standard will come. No one likes to read more. No one wants to have a change. Okay, so we have come a long way from there. So I also don't like change, but there is no other way we can do it. I think this is something which we need to understand, friends, and that is my deliberation which I'll like. I am actually not going to tell you something greatly new. I'm sure you will all have heard about that. But what I would like to bring to the table is the perspective. The perspective which I'm trying to tell you here, friends, is we have to leverage this up. And we all know the term leverage because we have learned this a lot in when we were talking about derivatives and all. This is a leverage. We can actually have it in terms of taking our existing thing, as they are rightly said, whatever we are doing, to the next level. Okay. So friends, before I start, I just want to share one of the report, which I am sure I'm just putting it up. I don't want to go into that too much detail. In all my calls, all my, I would say, any sessions I'm talking, I talk about this report, and this is something which is very important. I just thought I'm sharing a link with all of you. This is a report of World Economic Forum. And I have been talking about the report of 2018 for some time, in my discussions or any deliberation which I'm doing. And this report came in October 2020, which is not very, 5 months back. This is a report which is there. And this report is very interesting because it gives you a kind of view of where do you see the world in 2025. And this is some of the greatest minds who are sitting there in World Economic Forum, trying to see what changes which is going to happen. And I'll tell you my background to this, how I stumbled upon this report. I'm very serious. I stumbled upon this report because I was just trying to do research that, I'm basically a first generation chartered accountant. And, when we say first generation chartered accountant, it's basically a guy who has flunked multiple times in CA. That is a first generation chartered accountant, because there's no one in your family to guide you. So I have flunked multiple times, and it was like a big, you can see I've been to Tirupati, I've shaved my head. This is all because of CA final examination only. That, it used to just happen that before CA, I was not a very spiritual person, but CA final made me a spiritual person. So I went all the way there. Now, as a first generation chartered accountant, I always want my daughter to do CA because she's in class 10 and I thought she should do CA. And I was researching that what she should be focusing on after CA. Because, I want her to do CA because it's a simple thing. Why should only I suffer? They should also suffer a little bit. They should also know all the things, what I goes through becoming a CA. So I stumbled upon this report, and this was the 2018 report I stumbled upon that time. And this is the next version of this, which came in 2020. And this is so amazing because you should take both the report and read it at your leisure. It actually has a kind of full section on finance and accounting and other things. But some of the things which I would start with the challenges, which I didn't like in this report, and I'm just trying to share it with you, was the part that when I put it up here, that what do we see as, okay, let's say audit and accountancy, things were not coming so nice in this report. So I'm just trying to go here. You can see, I hope the screen is visible to you. This was all the areas which are job roles which were decreasing.
Not yet, sir. Sorry to interject. It's not yet visible. Your first page only is visible.
Okay, just one moment, please. Let me share it once again, the screen. I hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah, so I'm just talking about this report, World Economic Forum, the Future of the Job report. I've shared the link with you. And this is the one part of that on when they were talking about emerging skills and what are the things which are required. And friends, accountant and auditors, which our role comes, it was basically coming in most of the areas or most of the sectors which are there as a skill set which was actually there in demand, but they are decreasing. And especially you can see this here out there. And when I was reading it up, you should actually go into that. It's not a bad thing because they actually give you the reason why that is true. And they try to say that there are a lot of automations and other things are happening, so the traditional things are not required. And this skill, this people out here who are there, financial analysts and other, they can be reskilled into this area, which is data analysis, AI, big data, machine learning, IoTs, business development, all of the digital transformation things which is happening. Now, that is something which is very interesting because here we are talking about a completely different dimension to what we have been talking about and doing. Now, you can see it in a two perspective. One, where we are right now. Second, where we can go. And both the way, it actually adds a lot of, details in all things. So it's a pretty interesting report. I would keep it on you to just go through it at your leisure and see this and maybe make sense out of that, because you would be able to see in your perspective how it is adding it up. But it's a very good report which I thought you should be aware of, friends. So this is the point number one. Coming to the second thing, so that is the thing which I just thought I'll start with. The check-in part is talking about what is happening right now. I hope all of you can appreciate one point, and all of I see a lot of friends whom I am aware of who are actually attending this session today. We have come a long way. Our job function, our way of working, our way of looking at things has undergone a lot of changes, and technology has helped us do that. Now, as we move forward, you will see a lot more changes happening in these areas. And this is a kind of thing we have been having in every generation or every part of the thing. Last 10 years, I hope all of you know that the technology revolution has been phenomenal. The speed at which it is happening is very interesting. And this is all happening because of one of the fundamental point that in every time, technology has come and changed it. This is a picture of one person who are called Luddites. Luddites were basically not in recent year. They were in the, can you imagine, they were in the 18th century, 1811 to 1860s. They were the protest group at that time who were operating between that. And this were the garment workers who basically used to, destroy machineries because they were not very happy with technology coming out there. They said that they struggle with technology, so they don't want that to happen. And their salaries and other things are getting impacted because there is a loss of work for automation and replacement of skill level with unskilled. Now, even today, if you just go and see the word Luddites in the dictionary, it basically means anyone who struggle with or oppose new technology. And we have to understand, once people have tested a technology, they are not going to go back on that. So whatever opposing you do, I hope in India also there used to be 2 states where they used to say that what will happen to the typewriters if computer comes. And now those are the states who are telling that we should go for more and more automations and all that kind of stuff. I'll not name that. I'm sure all of you understand which kind of state I'm talking about. Now, from this point, which we need to understand is a lot has come, a lot of change, and this fight between change and transformation is not a new thing. It is going to happen in every century. It happened in the 18th century, it happened in the 19th century, it happened in the 20th, it will happen in the 21st century. Now, either we can be part of the protest group, or we can actually adapt to that and see how we can actually benefit out of that. So the roadmap for today's discussion is, we'll start with check-in. We'll talk about fintech at the macro level. What are the things which are there? We'll also think about what is enabling fintech, which is the genesis. The genesis is important, friends, because all of you understand one very important thing is fundamentals doesn't change. So what is the fundamental which is driving or which is powering this fintech revolution? That is something which we need to understand. We'll talk about some of the evolving themes which are there, and at the micro level, we'll talk about FAT, which is basically finance and audit transformation. And that is something which is creating a lot more opportunities, challenges, and way forward. So as I'm talking about the themes, I'll actually talk about all of the things, how it is getting transformed, what are the opportunities and challenges, and then we will be actually talking about the way forward. And feel free, I will be seeing your chat. So anything which is there you would like to add to that, just let me know. I will more than happy to discuss about that. We'll not go very diversion from the topic, but we'll try to see what are the things which we can actually understand that. So what is fintech? Okay, now fintech basically is nothing but it's an amalgamation of this word financial and technology, or finance and technology. Now, if you see, there has been a kind of a long way. Anything which has to do with financial services, finance and technology, or finance, anything which has changed in that area has been something which we actually added up in the fintech at the macro level. In fact, there are a lot of other terminologies which are known as the subset of fintech. Like I'm sure about you've heard about RegTech, which is regulatory technologies. There is audit tech, audit technologies. There are what we call it as BTech, which is banking technology. There have been multiple things. There are payment technologies which are there. So multiple things which has actually come out there. Now, fintech also has evolved over a period of time. Okay. Why this area was very ripe for disruption, let me explain. I'm not sure. I hope a couple of bankers here in this meeting, and please don't take it otherwise. But banking is, where do you disrupt? Okay, I'm using the word disrupt. Disrupt happens is, I'm doing something. If it is an inefficient way of doing that, don't you think people will basically be able to, what we call it as, see that, okay, you are doing it very inefficiently. Is there an efficient way of doing it? They said, yes, there is an efficient way of doing it. Why should we not do that? Let's take for banking. Okay, I'll give you an example. I used to be working in bank, and whatever you say, banking had been for a long time a big boys club. Do you agree or not? Big boys club used to be the time when they will do things in a way they are doing it, and they're not listening to what are the things which are changing on the ground. I'll give you one example, just simple example to prove my point out here. I hope all of you have heard about a concept called correspondent banking. Are you aware of this term, friends? Correspondent banking? Yeah? No? Okay, let me explain it to you, what we mean. Okay, so great. Rajiv and others know about that. Now, if I have to very crudely explain you very fast, because I want to talk about a lot of other interesting things, I'll just quickly go. Correspondent banking is like, I used to work in US for Infosys for quite some time. And I had an account in a bank there, which is, I'm sure all of you heard about, Wells Fargo. Now, Wells Fargo, I had my salary account. And sometime back, I thought, why don't I transfer some money from my Wells Fargo account to my Indian ICICI Bank account? Now, I would say Middle East payment, money transfer systems are very evolved right now. Over a period of time, they have actually worked pretty good, and this is nice. But all of you know, this is one of the very interesting things happening. In this part of the world, we adopted technology little late. So our technology is relatively new, what we are using. Like now in India, we have NPCI. Or I'm not sure how many of you have, recently traveled to China. I was like, before the lockdown, yeah, that is the time I went to China. Now I don't want to think of going that side. And I remember one very interesting thing. Because I'm a vegetarian, I used to buy my own food and cook it up. So I used to go to some of the store to buy some, fruits and all that kind of stuff. And I used to use my international card. And people used to be, even the storekeeper to the people on the, in the queue used to be very angry with me because they have been using, all the, local mobile-based payment system for a very long time. And it's fast, it's quick, and it's, take care of. And then there I'm going with my credit card or debit card and all thing. It used to be look like I'm coming from some old generations and all that kind of stuff. Same thing you see in India with the NPCI's UPI payment and all the thing, because we were able to adopt it because we were little late in the adoption. But US still is working on the same one. So Wells Fargo, if I'm transferring the money from that, Wells Fargo and ICICI Bank don't talk. So if I go to a service provider in between, he would be like an interface. Even if you think it's not an interface, it is going to be like Wells Fargo will talk to another corresponding bank, which may be Bank of America. Bank of America may talk to Citibank. Citibank may talk to State Bank of India, US. State Bank of India, US will talk to State Bank of India, India. And State Bank of India, India may talk to ICICI Bank. Now, at each level, the money is transferred from each account to me. The money I'm transferring from my Wells Fargo account will take minimum 4 to 5 days before it reach me. And in between, I have to pay a heavy commission to all these people. Now, this is what we call the inefficiency in the system. Why do I have to pay them all these things? But that was done in the old times of the banking, right? Now, can this be made faster? Yes. There are now Ripple and blockchain-based payments, which are actually making the same thing do much faster. So when we are talking about financial technology or fintech, it is basically trying to see areas of inefficiency which are happening, what we can do that. And there you see a lot of organizations putting this, I would say, a lot of investment. It can be a small startup trying to change the whole thing. Take it to be Paytm, take it to be PhonePe, any of this thing in India or any part of the world. They are actually trying to see this. And it has evolved. You see fintech 1, 2, 3, 3.5. I'm just trying to say this because, there has been a relation to that. The genesis of this comes from a very interesting concept of, what we call it the fintech, factors at the macro level. What is happening is you have a lot of innovation happening. Starting from AI, we'll be talking about that as a theme. I'll be talking about that as a theme. To use of data processing, to use of technology we can elevate. And I'm sure all of you heard about this term called APIs, which is, sorry, it's more of an application processing interface, which is there. It's basically, I can just give a part of my application to you to use it up. And all these things has led to what we call it as a kind of environment which has been created. The most interesting thing I would like to tell you, I'm sure you've heard about one startup in India called Big Basket. It just got acquired by the Tatas. They have just acquired it for a $1 billion in valuation and other things. How many of you know that this same company, the same promoters has started the same version in 2000 also, year 2000, okay? And then they shut down it in 2 years. The reason, sorry. I'm sorry. The reason they shut down in 2 years was at that point of time, there was not a good penetration of internet in India. So the thought process of selling grocery online, which came to them, they were ahead of the time. Now, all these things leads to a lot of changes. People may think that, okay, are we, at the right time, at the right place? They were not, and they have to shut down. But today, when they actually came back again in the year 2015, they knew that already there is a kind of a good penetration of internet, a mobile level, and all the things, and that is something which will make the business a big success, and that's what actually happened. So fintech also, it is all about, it would have not happened 10 years back because the technology was not mature enough at that point of time to be able to do all these changes. But today, this macro level, fintech is getting impacted and it's changing the whole way of we see the different financial part or finance related work which is happening at different part of them. Okay. Now, this was the genesis, and I want to just try to show you this two picture, which is that if you see fintech 1, 2, 3, and 4, and how does there is an impact. And if you see out here, I just kept it up only from 3.5, and because there is a reason for that. The reason is it is actually very much in link with what we saw, the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Okay, so we are into Industrial Revolution 4.0, and if you have, I'll not go too much into this, but if you have been, following World Economic Forum sites, they are actually talking about that we started with mechanization, steams, and powers which came at that point of time in the in the 17th century, which was the peak which came on 18th century. And then we went to mass production, which we have seen all the assembly line. I'm sure you have seen all this videos in 1934 movie of Charlie Chaplin, which is called as the modern times, and they show Charlie Chaplin going into the machine, coming out, or machine feeding a human, and all that kind of stuff. And then we went to automation, which is computers, electronics. But today we are entering what we call it as the Industry 4.0. And what is the Industry 4.0 as per World Economic Forum? And their founder actually described it also, that is basically a kind of set of technology which are transforming the whole ecosystems of the world, including cyber physical system, something like Siri. Where does Siri resides? Is it in your mobile phone? Is it on the servers? It's a cyber physical system. It's there. You talk to Siri all the time. But is it really out there in your phone? Your Siri is different than my Siri, right? I'm just trying. Okay, for all the things, I know Siri is like the assistant which we have in the iPhone, or you can have OK Google or Alexa, any other thing we are talking about. The Internet of Things. I'll be talking about that because there is a big impact of that on finance. Big data analytics. Analytics is one area because we are actually generating a huge amount of data which we never did it in the history of mankind or humankind. I'm sorry, I should not use the word mankind. Humankind. And smart manufacturing, where we have all these things which are changing. Gone are the days when it used to be only a mass production. Right now, we are talking about having customized manufacturing for each of the client. Every customer is different. So this is the genesis, which has actually impacted the fintech revolution also. And that's the reason fintech is still in 3.5, because it has started to see how they can benefit from the Industry 4.0. They have started doing it, but it will take some time for them to go for it. Now, this genesis, friends, is something which, if you see in the word of Klaus Schwab, he rightly said, he's saying we are on the brink of a technological revolution. This will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another, right? How many of you think of, like, let me ask you one thing. Are you wearing a fitness band? I'm supposed to have a 10,000 steps every day, so I wear a fitness band. And I'm sure all of you, some smartwatch or fitness band or anything, you're wearing it up there, right? So if you're having a fitness band, have you ever thought of that? Can you sell this data? Or can you monetize this data? Have you ever thought of that? Do you know that the insurance companies who are actually selling you health insurance would be more than happy to buy this data and based on that cater to you? There are talks going on that. This is a kind of a different model altogether which are going to come. And it is going to basically transform the way we are looking at that. So it is actually something you will see that the way we live, we work, it is going to be changed in terms of scale, scope, and the complexity. And this is something which humankind has never experienced before, and that is coming right now. And when this comes, it is also going to impact every part of the life, including finance and audit. So when we see that, you will have a kind of interesting thing. This is something which I always talk about because I come from the banking, and I remember this is my favorite picture because in year 2005-6, when I used to work for Goldman Sachs, it used to be a kind of, whenever we used to go to US, I was basically based out of that time Tokyo, and we used to have our 180 Main Street where Goldman Sachs is headquartered, and we used to have our minimum 3 trips to US every year. So whenever we used to go to US, we used to just try to find out that, do you know any Desi guy in UBS? Because if you know someone in UBS, it will be interesting because they had one of the biggest trading floor in that time. Okay. And this is the picture in 2016. In fact, now it is closed down. Okay. So it's actually closed down. They have actually moved out of this place. Now, this transformation, friends, this disruption happened just because of one technology itself, algorithmic trading. And we all know about that. And I remember algorithmic trading was there in 2005-6 also. And at that point of time, friends, I remember we used to audit the algorithms, which was called VWAP's algorithm. And we used to audit that and figure it out whether the algorithm working fine. And today, if you see in the year 2020-21, you can actually have algorithmic trading done on apps like Zerodha and other things. They give you for 30 rupees per day, you can actually use the algorithmic trading apps. You can actually make models out there. Now, gone are the days, we have seen a long way of coming at it. So you don't require so many of, human traders anymore, because algorithmic trading can take care of this. And that's something which is interestingly changing the way we see things happening around us. So the point which I would like to bring out is, the scale, you saw what Klaus Schwab has said. He said at the speed at which changes happen. That is something very interesting. Telephone to reach 100 million customer, it took 75 years. That's a huge long time. Even the web, the internet took 7 years to reach 100 million customer. Facebook took 4, Insta 2. And my favorite is Pokemon Go. You won't believe it was 100 million customer in 1 month. Can you see the speed at which adoption is happening of technology? I actually bought a second phone because you have to hunt for the Pokemons, right? So it used to be fun. You can actually walk on the road and try to see which Pokemon you can get. So Pokemon Go was fun, right? I'm not sure if you guys are in gaming or not, but it used to be a great environment altogether. So the adoption speed is happening at a much, much faster pace. So what are the emerging themes which are there? I'm using the word themes because, friends, you are going to see a lot of interrelations between technology. You can't put it in silos. I'm using the word silos because I cannot say this is AI, this is IoT, and this is data analytics. They are all working together. I have data being generated from IoTs, Internet of Things. Actually, AI is trying to have some kind of analysis on that. And this analysis, I'm actually trying to use it for maybe some decision making and all the things and working on that. So all of them are basically coming up as connected fields, or what we call as cognitive areas. In fact, there is one very interesting paper. I'm not sure if you have seen the December edition of Harvard Business Review. There is a article on cognitive finance. It's a very small article. If you get a chance, you should read that. That article actually talks about that finance is no more a kind of core functions anymore. It is very dependent on what's happening in different part of the industry, in the business, and it has to actually adapt to that and basically come out for that. The one of the best example they talk about is Amazon Go store. How many of you have seen an Amazon Go store, friends? Anyone here has seen an Amazon Go store? In Seattle, they have their concept store of Amazon Go. Anyone got a chance? If not, let me just quickly show you a small, video which is there on Amazon Go, and I want you guys to think it from a finance and audit professional and tell me how you're going to deal with this. Just give me a moment. Okay, here we are. Can we have everyone on the mute, please? Yeah. I hope you can see the screen, guys. Yeah, great. Just see this small video. It's an Amazon Go store. It's a concept store in Seattle. I went there with one of my friends, and I was not aware of this before that. It was actually a concept store. My friend used to work for Amazon, and he took me there, and he scanned his QR code, and we went inside. There was no one out there, no checkout, nothing. We can pick up anything which is there. And I went with his QR code, means basically he scanned his QR code twice. So whatever I was also picking up was getting added to his shopping list. And this is the most advanced shopping technology which is there. Now think of inventory controls, think of auditing the cash or anything, and just understand that. Let's see this video for a minute and then we'll talk about that.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
So this is something which I just thought I will, share with you. And this basically show the future of businesses which are going to be very automated. And we need to think of what are the value add we have to bring it up from finance and, audit or the related areas out there. Now, that's a kind of question which is going to ask. So the emerging screen, what we call it as a themes which are coming in this area are in basically this main point. IoTs, Internet of Things. Internet of Things, our friends, going to change a lot of things. It's going to impact manufacturing vis-a-vis finance and other areas. And I'm telling you, we don't even know at the impact of which it's going to have supply chain, healthcare, and other areas. And it's all starting up. Automation and AI. I talked about that, RPAs, machine learning, a lot of things which are there. Cloud, that's a key area which is like scaling up. Earlier, the kind of, if you remember, there used to be a concept in industry called barriers. So if I am a very large organization, I would put barriers that no one else can actually come into that thing. Cloud is changing it up. I can actually start small and I can grow up very fast. Gone are the days of CapEx, no capital expenditure. I'm talking about OpEx. Grow as you want, okay? Analytics. Decision makings are no more happening in the manner of what we used to see earlier. In Infosys, we used to have a famous statement by Mr. Murthy. He used to say that in God we trust, for everything else, bring the data and analysis. Basically, decision making will be based on analysis only. Blockchain, that's another interesting piece of technology. In fact, you should read the World Economic Forum report. They say blockchain is going to have a lot of impact in the near term, in next 3 to 5 years. And it's actually going to change the way we look at reconciliations and many processes which are highly human centric out there. Process mining, this is my favorite area nowadays. I love this area. I may show you something very interesting on that, practically what's happening on that. And the new, I told you, the word which is now the buzzword in the industry called kinetic finance. And these are all basically part of finance and audit transformation, friends. Whatever I'm talking about this are basically changing the way we look at the environment. And I'll give you one example for each of them as we move forward and maybe try to show you more detail on that. Okay. Feel free, any questions you have, you can just feel free to, chat with it. So what is this IoT? For everyone's who maybe not knowing about that, is basically called Internet of Things. And what is a things? A thing is basically nothing but any device which is capable of connecting with other device over the network or the internet. So we have right now, a kind of your air condition or your washing machine, you can connect through internet and basically switch it on, switch it off, and all that kind of stuff. This is Internet of Things. Now, that was at consumer level we are talking about. But think of this there, that we have now sensor-based tools. They are sensors. And except for smell, smell also, there is a lot of research going on. All other senses which we have, touch, feel, and all that kind of stuff, there are sensors for them, which can be actually used out there. And these sensors, that basically gives us a kind of information which was not available. Imagine then when we are talking about warranties and all the things, I would like to see that, okay, if I have actually purchased some machineries and other things, how does that machinery actually is performing? Or I have a windmill setup which is there. When does they require a kind of preventive maintenance or anything as such? Now, IoTs are actually changing the way we do business, changing the way we are, working it out. Especially, I would say, which area it is impacting, friends. It is becoming the kind of building blocks of a device which is capturing data, analyzing this data, gathering it, and then executing command based on that. Think of Aadhaar system is also a kind of a part of IoT. We had one time, validation to be done for identity. And today for every services, to getting a new SIM card, to a bank account, to your civil score, to your Aadhaar based payment, everything is basically now linked to that. So it's a very interesting thing, which is trying to change it out there. But let's try to see in business what it is doing. Post-COVID, there is a kind of a huge thought process people are talking about that, because there was a disruption which happened. It can be in supply chain, in transport, in healthcare, in other industries and all things. And they said there is a big potential in terms of using it up to make sure that we can actually enable the industry 4.0 revolution. I can actually have more products which I can build and service around that. Let me give you one example for this. Supply chain. Okay, Walmart is using IoT based devices in their supply chain trucks. So basically they know that whether they need to, if there is in between some of the drop of temperature from whatever the standard temperature which has to be put out there, and they are doing the payment based on the IoT device data which is being generated out there. And this is the similar things which is being done in transport, how much time it took between them. And I'm sure you've heard about this very interesting statement by our Honorable Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, sometime back, that he's going to remove the toll booth in India. The point was he's trying to do a GPS based, which is going to be another IoT based, point of looking at that. Yes, there are going to be impact, when the toll booths goes away already with kind of innovation which is happening on FASTag and all things. A lot of people have lost their jobs on the toll collection but we don't want to be on the lower side of the strata trying to add value or jobs which are very, very rudimentary and all things. So that is the kind of a thought process which is going out in IoT. So in IoTs are changing the way we look at that. It brings a lot more business transparency, what's actually happening. Instead of going by some kind of assumption, we basically know what's happening. You get new perspective of business, how it is basically changing. It can make it more agile to know what are the things which you can focus on, and process automation, which is the key. Everyone is moving for that. And last but not least, a cost reduction, because depending on the insight what we can get, we can actually see the sensors can be used on different part of that thing. And the use cases of IoTs are amazingly great. I am seeing that in many of the organizations, especially the construction businesses, they are using IoTs to basically link the payment based on the kind of construction completed and all the things. And that is kind of things which are becoming interesting, right? And the cost of these technologies are also very low. The sensors which I'm talking about are actually being available, in a country like India for less than 10 rupees, which is like nothing. So we are moving to getting the big potential benefit of a technology like this in financials and audit side. And it can actually add a lot more things in terms of business transparency and cost reductions. So this is something which we need to actually look into, understand it a bit. Okay. Now see this one also. The second part which is there, I would see the whole concept of AI, automation, and data analytics. What is actually driving this? The drive is the amount of data which we generate. Now tell me one thing, on average, how many photographs or a selfie do we take on a daily basis, or just a picture of something? Nowadays, any document we just take it up. Each picture you are taking is around 2 MB to 8 MB, sometimes 20 MB, depending on the picture quality you're talking about. There was a time I remember we used to have that camera where we'll have a 32 films, 32 options of making the thing. Then you have to develop it. Then we'll get the picture. It was a long process. We've come a long way. We are generating a huge amount of data, and this is all this data which is very, very scattered, and it's coming from multiple things. My favorite data right now is nowadays whenever I'm like kind of free and I'm just at the airport and just trying to see something, read about that, I go to a site of data.gov.in. Every country which is there, they would have their standard thing. Data.gov is from US government, so there's data.gov.in Indian government. A lot of government data is basically coming out. What we can do that, how we can use it up, and this kind of things have never been ever available earlier. Now this data along with this technology, this slide took me a little more time to make. This is all open source technology, friends. Now I am actually a guy who don't donate a lot of money for any charities, but I do donate to Linux Foundation every year, because that's one of the area where I see a lot of things.
You see, all of these things are open source technologies, and they are actually making what we call as democratization of data and use of that. Gone are the days when you have to buy high-end softwares to be basically able to do that. It's allowing you to basically process a large volume of data, which was not possible earlier. It allows you to deal with external data. Now, that is a very interesting thing. You know, in finance and audit, we used to basically see, okay, this is the data from the organization, from the ERP, from internal systems, and that's how it is there. Have we ever thought about doing what we call it as a kind of correlation with internal data and external data? Dealing with unstructured data, imagine pictures or image file or PDF, scanned PDFs of invoices. Reading them was very, very tough. Now it is becoming easy. Statistical modeling. When I say statistical modeling, whatever we used to talk about from a perspective of, things like, let's say Benford law and all that kind of stuff, which was earlier a kind of a pain in terms of doing it. Nowadays, they're like, in seconds, we can do that kind of thing. Machine learning. This is one thing I'll be discussing a little later. Real-time analysis, because businesses are now not more going for something like a kind of a post-mortem. They would like to have things happening as and when. And the interactive visualization actually add a lot to that. And there are a lot of things which is happening here in terms of use cases, which are actually helping us do this. And these tools and technology, friends, enable us to basically work, in these areas. You see, these are the tools of the trade which is being worked out, starting from our good old Excel to 9, SQL, and other areas. And all of them add a lot more value add to that. And there are concept of storytelling. Gone are the days when we used to just have the data and that's all. There is a storytelling with data. And when I say storytelling with data, let me give you an example, because a lot of people ask me, what do you mean by storytelling with data? This is what I mean by, storytelling with data. In the first time I'm showing it, okay, this is my data. It is telling me, let's say, for example, if I have a help desk, which is basically helping different people in my team with technology issues, I see the number of ticket trends, how many tickets were raised, how many were processed. And when I try to basically see this, I can actually have a real picture that I would require 2 FTEs, because my ticket receives are increasing and I'm not able to patch up with that. I'm not able to process all the tickets which are received in that month. So which means I am short of staff. I would like to have more things. Now, this is what we call as storytelling data. Gone are the days when we are just have to show the data, because we have to ensure what is the value add we are bringing to the table in terms of the storytelling. There are a lot of advanced analytics, friends, which are happening. I don't want to go into that. I'll be sharing this presentation anyway, so you can just do it. But identification of frauds, in accounts payable, prediction of customer defaults. People are doing all these things. So what I'm trying to say are not something which are, to be done. These are all being already done and, being implemented with people. Spend analytics, like areas on procurement, seeing a detailed insight of where we can actually cut down on the things. And there are a lot of AI and machine learning is being used. General ledger codes, GL reviews, we know what are the kind of errors which goes into that. Contract awards, identifying collusion with vendors, predicting non-performing assets in banking sectors. And my favorite, this is what we call as T&E expenditure, because the volumes are very high, the number of transactions, and you don't have the time to process it up. Can we automate the whole process out there? So kind of interesting things which are being actually worked out. Okay, so there are another areas also, like machine learning. If I have to give you a kind of a 30,000 view of machine learning, earlier we used to make a logic, and based on the logic we used to run that logic on some data. Machine learning is a different way of looking at things. It is basically saying that, okay, why should we actually talk about making the logic? Let the computer figure out the logic itself from the data which is available. So I actually put the data, and the machine can actually see that okay, this data is coming from this multiple perspective. As humans, we can actually work in only what we call it as 2 dimension or maximum 3 dimension using some tools. But machines can actually work on multiple dimensions. And when I say multiple dimension, maybe I'll just show you a small video on that. There is a kind of part which was done. I'm sure you would heard about AlphaGo. AlphaGo was basically a program developed by Google, There is a full documentary which is there. You can see it at your leisure. I don't want to go that. I just want to show a small, point about AlphaGo, what it was, so you can understand better. Just one. Oh, this is a small ad. Go for it. One moment. Here we go.
Have played games against computers. At first, computers struggled, but then they started winning.
Watson, what is greed? Yes.
And now they've become so dominant that they're raising doubts about the future of humanity. The latest emblem for existential dread is Google's DeepMind project, which created AlphaGo, an AI program that's become unbeatable at the most complex strategy game on the planet. While the game of checkers has 10 to the power of 20 possible outcomes, and a game of chess has 10 to the power of 40 possible outcomes, Go has more than 10 to the power of 80 possible outcomes. AlphaGo is trained to analyze situations itself by breaking the game down into tiny parts and visualizing all possible moves. Last week, it played the world's best Go player, 19-year-old Ke, with the help of a human handler. AlphaGo beat him 3 times, and after doing what it was designed to do, retired from the game.
在这次比赛完之后，在他继续又不停的进步之后，我觉得他对我而言就是100%。
If a system like AlphaGo can learn all the moves in Go well enough to beat a person, then it has the potential to replace lawyers and accountants among dozens of other jobs. It might be perfect, but it has no way to navigate human politics. The Chinese government banned the live stream after Zhe lost the first game. The loss to an American company was an attack on the country's pride.
The Chinese government has made a big effort to proclaim that they are moving ahead rapidly in artificial intelligence, that they will be the people who dominate AI. To have the dreaded Google come in and beat China at its own game, it's just piling insult on top of insult. It's kind of amazing.
But it was more than a national crisis.
对我而言，就是对围棋的上帝。阿尔法狗出现之后，可能真的。我对人生啊，包括不是仅是围棋啊，对人生啊也有巨大的一个改变和看法。
So this was AlphaGo, friends, and why I showed it to you is it's doing something interesting. This is like this program was not developed as a rule. It was not developed as saying that okay, this is what you need to do and all the things. It was basically developed saying that okay. What will happen if I give you the rules of the game and you play it yourself? Okay. And that is something which becomes interestingly amazing. And that's something which is already happening as we see out there. And so the idea is they are using machine learning in terms of every part. I don't agree to that point that they are going to replace lawyers and accountants. That is not going to happen. But yes, we will not be doing the old work. Maybe we have to change our work. And that's the kind of thing which machine learning is doing. And the last point which I want to just talk about is on the process mining, which is my favorite area right now. I just maybe show it to you, instead of explaining it up. So, we have only 20 minutes, so I just can use this time more effectively. Now, all of you heard about this process like P2P, procure to pay. So I hope you can see the screen. Usually we have SOPs, standard operating process in finance. Now it will be like purchase requisition created, your PO created, PO submitted, PO released, good received, GR accounted, invoice entered, and invoice accounted. This would be a kind of a typical finance cycle or a procurement cycle, right? Now, usually what we call this as a happy path. Happy path basically means that, okay, it is how it is really working. But is it actually doing the things that way? No. In audit and maybe finance for efficiency, they can actually see it up that this is actually a real data from SAP for something which we have sanitized, but it's actually some, 64,000 POs which were issued. So unique IDs are there. And basically, when you try to see the number of connection and activities which are there, you basically start seeing that actually after the purchase order, it is something happen is a lot of purchase order has been issued without purchase requisition. It is okay, no problem. But there are also one more interesting thing is that purchase orders out of 64,000, around a big number of this one has been also what we call it as, revised. A big number has been revised. Now, this is actually trying to go and see what is the real thing which is happening in your process. This is your happy process, but as I actually try to, it's something like putting your finance processes under a microscope and trying to see it from different perspectives. So you can see that out of my 64,000 line items, 40,000 POs has been 39,000 POs has been changed. You can see it here. Now that is another big problem. And you know what is the most interesting thing, friends? All this information is only captured once and you are just trying to analyze it. And what is the thing you are trying to analyze here? Let me explain it to you. You are just analyzing, friends, what we call is the system timestamp activities. So I'm just trying to say the purchase order, activity, the timestamp, who did it. And based on that, once I have fed it up there, the system is smart enough to know what is the happy path, which is your SOPs is saying, and what is actually being done. And this kind of things can give you a lot more inference from these things. That 60% of your purchase orders are being modified. There are more than 200 instances of manual payment. There's significant account of invoices without POs, and invoices are being posted without GR. Now, this thing is coming out as an insight, which was not there earlier for us. So process mining is changing it. So analytics, which is one of the theme, is adding value in terms of hindsight, what has happened, insight, where the problem is, what actions are needed, and why this is happening. As well as we can actually see predictive analytics, which is like we call it foresight. What if the trend continues? What will happen next? Imagine if I have a kind of multiple subsidies, and I want to know which subsidies I need to focus more. I can do a time where what we call time series on that, a statistical model saying that okay, last 3 years this was the trend. This year this should be the trend. If there is a deviation or a variance in the trend, then I can actually figure it out why this is the thing. What can happen next? What is the best it can happen? All of that things can basically manage that. Coming to the next theme on blockchain. Blockchain is a very interesting thing. This is the statement which came in HBR, which Joy took. Amazing gentleman. He's actually a futurist, and he talked about that blockchain will do to financial system what internet did to media, and that is true. When we are talking about internet, see the way we are consuming any of the media today is through what? Through internet modes. We are having a lot of things like Amazon Go, Netflix, and all the things. And this are the kind of things how we are consuming this thing. And this has happened because the cost of internet has gone down. The same thing is happening in blockchain. Now, let me just give you a little bit of timeline of blockchain very quickly, for the thing. Though people think it is related to Bitcoin, Bitcoin was the kind of overall technology which came in October 2008. And the interest in, I would say, blockchain started in 2014. So they took 6 years to basically understand that, okay, we don't want to go in cryptocurrency. We just want to fix it up a kind of way where a tamper-proof database is there, a database which is tamper-proof, or to a great extent tamper-proof. It cannot be tampered at a easy level. And this thing, because as accountants, we are very fascinated with ledgers. We are the custodian of ledgers. So whenever it came as the tamper-proof database, it was actually called as a distributed ledger, which can be used. And you're seeing today a lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions are going for that, because fundamentally it is actually a kind of auditable database which can timestamp, and it can have multiple people giving a consensus in terms of how do we deal with that, and they can actually have a say in that. I'll not go too much deep into that, but you can always understand that it has a lot more potential in terms of how we can actually use it, especially starting from smart contract as a digital currency, to record keeping, to securities. One of the things which very interestingly, one of my friend was saying is we are moving to triple entry systems of bookkeeping, because fundamental double entry systems of bookkeeping has a fundamental issue. I will write in the books of X, this is the entry. In the books of Y, this is the entry. But in real life, we all know what happens. We would have entries done by different people, and then we have an issue of reconciliation. Imagine a kind of time which is already it is there, where I have an entry in book of X, I have an entry in the book of Y, and there is a third entry, which is triple and third entry in the books of blockchain. And this is being done by the banks for interbank reconciliation, my insurance company for inter-insurance reconciliation, because I can have a single source of truth, which is the most important thing. Timestamp append on law, auditable, and it's a tamper resistance database, which means I can have a single source of truth in all my things. And there are a lot more use cases being done on blockchain. And these are the things which are adding value in terms of how do we deal with it. So friends, this is something which I thought I will share with all of you. I know I wanted to have 15 minutes for a talk, but I have only 10 minutes. Any questions, friends, any doubts, just let me know. Or you have any comments, would you like to agree, disagree? I would hear from you. Rajiv has a very interesting point, which you said, as the technology increasing in financial sector, value and amount of frauds are big. We witnessed in recent time. Rajiv, you are perfectly right. We are actually getting it up that, in a very interesting way, that though we are having a lot more technology use, there is also the frauds are going at a higher thing. The reason is a lot of lack of controls in many times. When we go for technology, we have to also, that is the reason I was telling you, there is going to be big demand for chartered accountant who understand a kind of a techno functional, because we know business better, Rajiv, than anyone else, right? Knowledge of the business is something which is in our blood. And then when we see what are the things which can go wrong, if we can actually plug those gaps, have a right controls out there, it will add a lot more value out there, Rajiv. And also one more thing which I see is, it's a good thing so many big frauds are coming out. One of the reason of that is also there is a kind of transparency being brought in the system, and that is the reason this kind of things we can actually know about, and it is being done. I would say technology is good, but many a time we always see that it is not rightly implemented, and that is one of the kind of thing which we need to take care of that. Okay. So we have another question from Muzaffar, which is like, if possible to get good grip over fintech without learning the amazing question. This is, I would say the question of the day. So Muzaffar has Mr. Alam, okay, Muzaffar has a very interesting question, that there is a new term in the market right now, which is called low code or no code, which means I should not know about coding. I don't want to learn coding or programming language. And can I do any value add out there? So, Mr. Muzaffar, as you rightly asked this question, I would suggest you to read about low code, no code, because there are a lot of technology. Like, maybe I'm just going back in my slide. If you can see, I talked about something called. Let me show it to you here. Can you see this Nine here? Nine is a platform which we use extensively for data analytics, and it's a low code, no code, which means most of the chart accountant do all the thing, and there is no coding involved like Python and all the things. So you don't require to have those kind of things. So I'm just trying to annotate it up for your purpose. This is the one I'm talking about. Okay. And similarly, there are a lot more, I can just show you one more, my favorite for data mining, Orange. This is totally low code, no code. You don't have to know about anything of coding or anything as such, and you can just start using it up out here. So that's something which can add. Okay, great. So these are the things which I thought I'll maybe share with you, friends. And I can tell you one thing, that future is I'll say not bad. It's going to be very bright. Only thing which we have to think of is how we can actually take benefit out of all these things which is happening around us. There are a lot of things which are changing, and changing at a very fast pace. That is my point, which I want to tell my fellow professional brethren out here, because things which we saw 10 years back, if you would have thought of that, you will do video calling on the fly every time you're doing, people would have laughed at you, because that was not something which is easy. And today we see it happening it out. Like my mother and my aunt, they always every day they will do a kind of 2 hours of video call at home. So things have changed a lot of time. We have adapted to a lot of this technology which is not possible at a long time. And even our old people are becoming adapted to that. So it's high time for us to basically understand this opportunity which is there. I would go by Nirlav's word. It's actually a good opportunity on fintech. See the areas where we can do it. And only thing which I would try to say, three very important things which you should remember is, start small. Don't go for a big bang or anything like that. Just try to do some experiment. Experimentations are good, or we call that as POC. Start with small thing. Second thing is, be ready to adapt to new things. It is going to be very fast changing. What I started 5 years back or 6 years back, if I think it is going to be relevant today, it's not at all, friends. So I need to be adapting to what's happening around me and be ready for that. And the third thing, which is very, very important, friends, is see the use cases around you. What are the things which can actually be used? IoTs are amazing area. You should try some of the things in your organization and see for yourself how it can transform the finance and audit functions. And fintech is going to be a lot of great opportunities. Yes, there are one or two challenges which I can say. The first challenges I see is interoperability. When I mean interoperability, most of the technologies are not talking to each other. They are only on one areas and all things. So if I'm actually on one platform and I want to move to other, it is not possible. Now that is a problem which will get resolved over a period of time. And second thing which is there is adoption. People are not ready to experiment. That is a big challenge. But slowly, when they see that there are leaders who will be actually trying to do it, I am sure it is going to change the perspective overall on that. Okay. So that's all from my side, friends. It was amazing, having a discussion with you. Nila, over to you. So, thank you, sure. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, C. Anand, for your enlightening session. I think we got more insight about the fintech and how it is going to impact that, as a finance professional, and how we need to, equip ourselves to compete with the latest technology coming into the market. Before I get into the question and the session, I'd like to, sir, thank CA Praful Chhajarji to giving some kind of thought-provoking session and to tell us about the World Congress of Accountants. And sir, we are all delighted and we are all, eager to geared up, I would say, to experience this World Congress of Accountants in Mumbai. And I have got something from CA Dayanivas Sarmaji, and I would like to mention it here that you, sir, put something T to T. And I like this. This is tradition to technology. And you said, sir, something regarding you have given the new abbreviation of the CA today. Before we were, we were in our student days when we were writing the exams and all. If let's say we could not qualify, then CA means come again. We used to say. And in the middle, it became like CA becomes committed accountants. But today you have given the new name of the CA as computer advisor. Thanks to you, sir. Now coming back to, sir, the question session, though we have many questions, but keeping the time we have, I would like to ask a couple of questions. How much time we have, Nirlap or Vignesh?
We can take two questions, Devki.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So, sir, first question is, security becomes a major concern in this world of technology. Are we prepared?
Okay, that's a very nice question, sir. Thank you, sir. That's a good question because security, privacy is two areas which are, coming out in this one. I agree with you that this is one of the area which has been always, taken for granted, but slowly there has been a kind of thing. Let me give you an example on this one, which was a very good question because think of IoTs. IoT is going to generate a lot of informations about us, like my health data and all things. Is it secure? Can someone corrupt that? Can someone like take it up? My privacy is in problem. This is one area which is still a kind of thing, and I hope there is a saying in our security circle or in IS audit we used to call information security is a misnomer. If anything is connected to internet, it can be hacked. So we have to take it with a pinch of salt. So only thing which is going to be, I would like to, I always say this is, take what we have told. When we do an audit, we never give an absolute assurance. We give you a kind of a kind of relative assurance in terms of this is a kind of a true and fair. We call it not true and correct. We say true and fair. And that is what we have to do, that we have to live with that kind of thing, that a basic security model is something which people have to adapt. It will take a lot more awareness. I'm sure I have worked with a couple of black hats, and I can tell you that the kind of level of expertise they bring it to the table, that is not something which a common person can actually handle it up. If anyone wants to do any of the harm, But having said that, yes, today the kind of security in the design of any product is being talked about, and that is going to take a lot. That is would be my submission.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, next question in line, sir. As you mentioned, we are generally reluctant to change. With such speeds of advancement in technology, do you think organizations are well equipped and ready to transform in terms of processes and people skill set?
So this is a very important question, sir, what you're asking. One of our client is Indian Oil Corporation, and recently I went to they have a very interesting, center of excellence in Gurgaon. It is called Indian Institute of, Petroleum Management, IIPM. It's in Gurgaon. So I went to the reception. At the reception, they have a huge mural out there, a big mural on the reception. And you know what is written on that? It says, change before you are forced to change. That is what is the statement which is put it onto the reception of that place, because that's a kind of a training. Now, I would say, change is really, painful, but we have to change, and we all know the early bird gets the prey. So if we start now, we would be there, and without becoming redundant, we would be having some of our skill set which is still relevant for that. And in fact, Daya and our institute is doing something very interesting. I hope you have seen the site of DAB, Digital Accounting and Assurance Code. Most of the transaction or most of the skill set they are trying to bring it to the tables are what we see on the World Economic Forum's site. So they know that, yes, it is going to come and hit us. Let's be prepared for that. If we are prepared for that, the impact is going to be not that painful. But we are not prepared, and then it happens, then it is going to be a big problem. And that is what I would say. So my new word I would say is change before you are forced to change. That is what we should remember. And please remember, this is going to come and hit us much faster than anything.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. As you rightly said, sir, if you are not changing with yourself with the technology, then as Mr. Dayanivas sir said, then you need to think what is going to be next for you. So thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking session, enlightening session. Thank you so much for that. Now it's time to hand over the control to Vignesh for vote of thanks. Over to Vignesh.
Thank you, Devki. And I think it's been a wonderful session this evening. The fact that we've been able to have this session on a virtual mode itself is transformation. Who could have had this session in a pandemic scenario, say 10 years back? To have such eminent speakers speak to us, even though we are in a situation where we can't travel. This itself is transformation. Daya sir mentioned about T2T, on tradition to transformation. And as Devki mentioned, also CA as computer advisor. Also, one of the earlier in an earlier session, we also would like to incited to ABC, which is artificial intelligence, blockchain, and digital data analytics and digital transformation. I think this is where the world is going, sir. And thanks to your insights, it resonates very well with what we as a chapter are also doing. I think I would like to bring to to the attention as well that we had a lot of sessions and workshops over the last year on these new technologies. We had a workshop on Power BI, which is where people are going to. And I think that really resonates well with where we are looking as the outcome or the future for our members as well. We believe that, yes, there is a lot of interdependency. And that is where we think that there is a lot of opportunity for chartered accountants in going forward. Yes, there are challenges. Change is something, as Barack Obama said, change is the only constant. And we believe, and I think one needs to look at it in a positive frame of mind to be ready to transform, to stay relevant. Internet of Things, as you rightly said, is something which is the next in town, next thing in there. And it's all available at such low cost. Yes, as one of the questions that did come up, one of the key challenges do remain in terms of interoperability and security and privacy as such. But I think overall, one needs to move towards adapting to technology and changing themselves, transforming themselves to stay relevant within and stay relevant as chartered accountants. I think thank you once again, sir, CA Anand Jangit. Thank you to CA Dayanivas sir and past President CA Prafulla Chajat. It was indeed an honor to have you all today speaking to us and giving us insights into transformation and its future, the future of towards finance and audit. I thank our sponsors, gold sponsors Ernst & Young, Aster Medical, Protivity, and our silver and Morrison Menon. Our silver sponsors KPMG, Oracle, Focus Softnet, and Crescent Chartered Accountants. Our sponsors have been the backbone for us and have been a constant encouragement for us to deliver such interesting and insightful sessions for all of you members. Thanks to all the members for all your support. Your constant support drives us and keeps us going to bring you the best and keep us all enlightened with the changes that are happening and the transformation that's happening in this world. Thank you all, and stay safe and stay healthy and be relevant and be ready to transform. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.